I spilled coffee on my shirt in the first half, and that orange drink, that Bai drink that I drink. So I'm not trying to make a fashion statement. My shirt is really just got so many stains on it. I didn't want to wear it in here. Thrilled with the win. I mean, it's a tricky game, senior night. You're worried about just guys and their emotion and just kind of being too sentimental and really laying an egg. And I thought that all things considered, minus that really bad stretch where we probably should have got out of here, 15, 16-point win. We obviously got really, really sloppy there and made it much harder on ourselves. But just thrilled to get that 13th Big East win, the 22nd on the season. One of the 10 times we've gone undefeated at home, and last time 08-09. We'll take it, and happy to get this one by us. Relieved. This was a game you obviously really concerned because it really could be a blemish. So happy to get the win and excited to get to New York.
How tough, Dan, is it to stop Adama when you get him in that rhythm that you did early?
Yeah, I mean, I like, an angry Adama is hard to deal with. His track record coming off of a subpar game is, it's pretty good. He responds very, very well to, not being at his best. When he's fundamental with his pre-catch position and just like active and decisive with his moves, very few people could deal with him.
Dan, could you just assess his overall freshman to sophomore year jump? What kind of player do you feel like you're taking into the postseason with Adama versus the one you took last season?
Yeah, I mean, a dominant, a guy at times who's been absolutely dominant. A guy that I think, just his experience level, he's seen all different types, of defenses, different types of defenders. He knows what the postseason feels like. I think he's going to, have a much better understanding of what a Big East tournament intensity game feels like. NCAA tournament game feels like. But I think the biggest thing is he's got two guys that have played at an all-conference level next to him, one at point, one on the wing. And then, he's got a lot of really good players that are supporting him at those other positions. So he's going in, I think, with a better team than he was on last year.
Obviously, you want the crowd involved, and they had a lot of fun, most of it. But them calling for Matt so early, did the guys hear that? Did they start to think, oh, we must be rolling if they're calling for Matt and stuff like that?
I mean, I heard it, and that didn't have anything to do with what happened. But I think it's coincidental. I don't, but that was tough. I mean, I think it just had like RJ has been, first team all-league player. I mean, he's been as good as any point guard, in this league from start to finish. He's closed, he's led, he's defended at a high level. If you look at his defensive statistics, he just does so much for this team. And I just think that the kind of the letdown today probably had a lot to do with the fact that it was just one of those nights for RJ. But that just speaks, I think, to the strength of the team because, most teams in a situation where, like a guy who's been, the best player or, him or Adama have been the two best players with Tyrese supporting this year. When maybe your best player goes 1 for 9 with that type of game, usually you lose. So I think it speaks to the strength of the team.
Third seed. Thursday night, obviously, is going to be pretty electric in the Garden.
We go at night now? We play at night?
Yeah, 9:30.
Which means probably 10.
Yeah. Just don't go 6 overtimes. But I mean, obviously, you would have loved to win the regular season title, but you still got lofty goals. But satisfied with where you're at and looking at the regular season as a whole?
Yeah, these guys have been awesome. I mean, they deserve a ton of credit. Obviously, you could go back and look at games you could have won, could have lost, dealt with injuries to our very best players. To lose 2 all-conference level players, a Jabbar list finalist and Tyrese, who's an all-conference level player as well. To lose those guys for a stretch, and to end up 22-8, and 13-6 in the Big East. There's a lot of really good teams that didn't get to that number in this league. So, thrilled at where we're at. Just feel like we're a better team, a more experienced team, more battle-tested team than we were last year going to New York.
Dan, you mentioned the emotions of senior night. I guess, what was that like for you to be out there coaching and the pregame stuff, knowing what the guys have been through?
Yeah, I mean, those guys, it's hard. I mean, that's usually when you have a senior class, there's one guy who's a major pain in the ass, or who, isn't everything that you want, and you've kind of battled it out with him all the way through to the end, and and some part of you is like, yeah, I'm going to miss this guy, but maybe a little part of me is like, I've had enough of this guy. Not these guys. I mean, these guys right here, I mean, you couldn't have a better class of guys that have more class and more character. With Tyler, Isaiah, RJ, Tyrese, Mac Gary, I mean, what a group of guys. I mean, just tremendous players. They've picked this program up when this thing was a complete disaster. I mean, closer to, 200 in terms of like Ken Palm quality than 100, right? And these guys stayed or transferred in and did the hard work of turning a program around, and they did it with class and character every day. They're completely selfless. And it's going to be a hard class. You're going to judge the next class after that class. It's going to be hard, big shoes to fill.
Tyrese had some stretches where he played with some crazy energy. What kind of impact did he have on the game?
I mean, when he does that, I mean, like that's the secret sauce. Again, we got that game against a team with really good, talented players, well coached. Tony does a great job. They play hard. They came in with a lot of confidence, winning 3 in a row. Really, their last 2 games too at St. John's and Marquette really separated. So, I just thought our team, to have RJ have an uncharacteristic offensive game and to be up 16, I don't know if it ever got to 18. Did it get to 18? It got to 18, 940. I mean, that was impressive to do that with a team that's coming in here red hot, with your best perimeter guy having, one of his toughest nights he's probably had offensively. So I just think that we played really, really good and played to our identity up until when we started to throw the ball around.
Coach, how encouraging were Cooksmith tonight, with the 3 blocks going into the tournament?
That was good for him to get some minutes under his belt. I thought he was, he did some good things, in there, and he's got to be ready to give us, minutes when we need him after missing a lot of time.
By and large, happy with the way Andre and Tyrese kind of handled Freeman Liberty? I mean, up until the end.
Yeah, and it was weird. It's like we made that like a couple mistakes. First, he hit. I mean, we start switching the ball screens, probably a little bit too early. Well, actually, no. I mean, he made a very tough 3 on Adama. I mean, that thing was deep and it was in the air for a while. And then I think we had, for the first time all game, some breakdowns. I thought we did exactly what we wanted against him. But again, a player of his caliber, the guy's an NBA player. He got us late when maybe we relaxed a little bit and weren't as locked in.
Dan, Adama's footwork is just so impressive. How much of that is him just putting in the work and learning new things the last couple of years? I guess even before that, just as he's come along and evolved as a player. How much of what he does is just kind of natural gift and feel?
Yeah, he's a rare. He's got the rare work ethic. You know, and guys that are, you know, guys that are really, really good players, top flight, top level guys, elite potential players. They just they could see things in an NBA game, or they can imitate. They have a creative mind where they could see, like watch an NBA guy in the post, and then they could like emulate that and add it to their game. You know, so I think, you know, the thing for him this year is his footwork was so much better than it was last year. He was just kind of a power guy. Now he's got the counters. You know, obviously, you know, the missing piece for him, which, you know, he's going to have to add going into, you know, next year to really become, you know, the player that he wants to be. You know, is obviously the three-point shooting and handling and passing the ball away from the basket.
Dan, what's changed with Andre? I think he has like 21 assists and only 3 turnovers as far as like taking care of the ball. You know, he's not turning the ball over like it was earlier in the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's, you know, he's got point guard skills. I think this guy is going to be able to play on the ball for us. I mean, we're putting him on the ball so much more than we did earlier in the year, and putting him in a position to create just maturity. And he's just a guy that he's another guy who's he's just about the right things. He's only consumed with winning, and he's a pleaser out there. I mean, guys like him and Isaiah. I mean, if I was these guys, man, I'd be texting these guys nightly, because they're just so easy to play with, so fun to play with, because they're so unselfish and they're such great passers.
When did you decide to start Tyler? And
Not after you asked yesterday,
I didn't
Dave.
ask that one.
Oh, that was somebody. Whoever asked that yesterday. I didn't. Probably to ride in, I might have called. I think I called Kamani and Luke and Tom and just said, "Hey, what do you guys? How do you guys want to handle it?" You know, and I mean, obviously it was an easy decision because Tyler's played so great, and you know, and Andre's such an unselfish guy. So probably this morning, but we don't want to make a big deal out of it, because again, it was like we played a red-hot DePaul team coming in, and that's where we wanted our focus. We good? Thank you. See you in New York.